Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Hello folks, here we are again at Cannabis TV, Eugene's Cannabis TV, located behind Sheldon High School, coming to you from cable channel 29 and from YouTube. Today I'm Reverend Will I Am, and this is my friend Philip Smith, who has some stories to tell you about his life and his trials in trying to have medical marijuana for him as a person who's been on dialysis for 25 years. But to start out the show, we're going to talk about our Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum, and how she met with the Advisory Committee on Medical Marijuana. Today, Oregon Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, whose victory in her Democratic primary against Dwight Holton was very much influenced by the Oregon medical marijuana community and drug law reformers across the country, sat down at the Oregon Advisory Committee on Medical Marijuana to meet and learn about the committee and listen to their concerns. As head of the Oregon Justice Department, Rosenblum is both the state's and people's attorney, so she can often be put in the middle of conflicts between the medical marijuana community and law enforcement. The Attorney General took the time to listen to the qualifications and experience of each ACMM member and get a sense of what they feel the role of the ACMM is. She agreed to take in all the information from the meeting and to attend another meeting in the future. Jim Clark, a member of the ACMM since its inception and Democratic candidate for the Oregon House, spoke about the need for the state to help protect the right of patients to use medical cannabis so that patients don't have to suffer like him and go without a beneficial medicine because of transplant list rules. Alice Ivany spoke about the need for a safe medical marijuana supply system, commenting that she went without cannabis for 17 months after becoming a legal Oregon patient. Sandy Burbank from Mamas spoke about the need to educate the public and officials about the truth about all drugs. Ms. Burbank lamented the fact that Oregon police departments are reluctant to take advantage of free training about the ins and outs of the medical law from the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program. Dr. Alan Cohn spoke about his concerns regarding the fact that Oregon Medical Board discourages doctors from recommending medical cannabis to patients, particularly patients also prescribed painkillers. While today's meeting was short on specifics, as usual with the government, it was great to see the state's top law enforcement officer listen to Oregon's medical cannabis community. While Attorney General Rosenblum and the cannabis community won't always agree on every issue, it is apparent that she is compassionate to our concerns and will do her best to ensure that the will of voters who approved the Oregon Medical Marijuana Act in 1998 is respected. Well, you know, in that regard, right off the bat, to me, the Oregon Medical Marijuana Program has never been respected in this process, because what the people of the state of Oregon said was, get us patients our medicine. And the government is not involved in that in any way, shape, or form. They don't get us our medicine. All they do is control us with cards and taking money from us. Understand, Philip, have you had a card in your process with this?
Yes,
You did?
Twice.
Twice. And so in that process of getting the card, did you get it through your doctors when you were going through the dialysis?
I got it through a doctor. I was lucky.
Okay, a doctor who was supportive of what you were going through and could see how it was benefiting you?
Yeah, for at least 2 or 3 years. The nephrologist I used to have provided me with a signature for my medical marijuana card and my grower's card every year for $20.
For how long? A few years?
For at least 3 years, 3, 4 years. I got it every year. And because of my Medicaid and my medical and my Medicaid and Medicare situation, I was able to get my card for $20 instead of $150 or whatever.
Cost, right. So that must have been a little while ago. So in that process, did you find that it was difficult for you to then find a doctor when this one here disappeared?
All the nephrologists I talked to and all the regular, intake doctors would claim that they don't have anything to do with the program. It was awfully funny how all of a sudden pain specialists didn't want to give me pain pills because they said they were addicting, and said they would rather have me sign up for the medical marijuana program. And this was only in the last 4 or 5 months.
And so in that process, didn't these doctors also let you know how they didn't really feel comfortable in giving you a card because they're afraid of our government at this point in time?
Not the pain specialists. They right out suggested as soon as I walked in the door.
I remember you saying that they did, but then the first person that you were going through,
she refused to sign the last form.
There's two forms, right?
There's a yellow form that comes with the application or with the medical marijuana form, and then there's another green form which they sign to actually prove that they practice medicine in the whole state of Oregon.
And they're saying that they support you.
And they would not sign, the first doctor would not sign that one.
Right.
So I was denied. But the second pain specialist I saw suggested, instead of getting pain pills, getting on the pain pill program and signing a contract, to just get on the medical marijuana program. Matter of fact, he says he thought it was better than getting addicted. And those are only 2 doctors.
So if I have this right, then the first doctor signed one piece of paper but wouldn't sign the second one. We don't know exactly why.
She suggested that I get on medical marijuana. When I first walked on the door, she says, I'll sign your medical marijuana paper. She didn't want to even deal with the pain issue or pain pills or anything. She immediately was going to sign me up, but she wouldn't go through with it.
Yeah, something happened between the first and second signing where she decided it was beneficial for her not to do it.
No, she just didn't make herself available so they could send her the paper so she could sign it.
Well, there must have been a reason, I would think, unless she just didn't care, but I think most doctors care.
I just think she was bouncing me back and forth because she didn't really want to have to deal with me, so she just told me something like wishful thinking to have me believing that, get my hopes built up or whatever. But
well, that is one of the things that we do have to deal with, is the fact that first of all we have to find a doctor. Like myself, I'm a vet, and the VA is part of the federal governmental system, so they say that they cannot really sign the paperwork themselves, but they can let the doctors who will sign the paperwork, if you'll pay them $100 or $150 or $200, not sure which amount it is because sometimes it shifts. But that they are saying basically that they're not going to do it unless, well, they're not going to do it. These doctors, these federal doctors aren't going to do it. But they'll give the information to the doctor who will sign it, which is at one of these clinics that they have.
Well, these pain specialists are sure happy to sign up some medical marijuana papers because they would rather do that than give you pain pills. Because all they talk about is addiction from the pain pills, and that medical marijuana would be a lot better for you. And I was told that by 2 doctors, so I don't know what they're doing. This has only happened in the last few months.
So it should be interesting right now that we have a measure that's on the ballot, M80, which would make it legal for people over 21 to be able to get medical marijuana. Did you know that?
Yeah, and if a lot of them go to a pain specialist and they have legit pains, a lot of them, they'd rather sign those contracts or sign those papers than to give pain pills. They give you pain pills for the next 6 months, which you might get addicted to in the next 6 months.
I understand that, so I'm asking, do you know that there is a ballot measure right now, M80, that would make it
legalized
for people over 21, not dependent upon medical marijuana, just people being over 21 would be able to use marijuana without repercussions from the government?
Well, I'm sure this is not a great statement because it's not part of the program, but personally I think they should have stuck with the dispenser idea. I mean, So it gets the police out of the way of worrying about what's going to happen next, and cuts down on people having to go through the whole sneaky process to try to get it or anything, you know, or try to grow it. It's expensive to grow it.
Right, well, that's one of the things we've tried to talk to the police about in the past, is the fact that, understand, according to the law, which was enacted by the state, patients are supposed to be able to get their medicine.
Mm-hmm.
But as you're stating, in the 25 years that you've had this illness, and you have not been able to get it a lot of the time because you didn't have a card, for whatever reason, whether it was a doctor not signing it, not having enough money. These are things that should be addressed by the state if you as a person have physical needs for marijuana, but you cannot get it because of all the different hoops that you have to run through. Well, understand, you don't have a lot of energy in the first place. You're not doing flip-flops and stuff out there in the street or anything because you have this condition. So it must be very difficult for you to grow on your own.
Well, it's money. If I had the money, I could grow on my own. I could set up, have a light. You know, it's at least like $400 to $1,000 for a good $400,000 light. It's not cheap to grow it. You know, most people that can't grow it for themselves don't have the financial means to get the equipment and supply and stuff they need and able to grow it.
That is one aspect of this. At the same time, being able to find a doctor without it costing you a couple $100. I mean, that's what the clinic's about. Once again, though, going back to M80, one of the things about it is the fact that we have this bill now, which my understanding is we would be able to do industrial. We would also have it legal, and that we would have the ability to grow and to get access to dispensaries.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's one of the reasons that, you know, we've been hitting it here at the station, trying to let people know that this M80, you know, it could be the best thing to happen for us as patients and for us as people in this state, is to get the stress of always having to deal with, you know, police and others judging us in this process. I mean, in our lives, you pay your bills, you take care of business, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I don't understand what makes us bad people, but it's one of the things, oh, that's right, the way they used to tell me when I was in prison for pot, we're not bad people, we're just doing bad things. Now for me, taking care of my body is not something that's a bad thing. And the fact that you, without this, have found that you have a more difficult time, I mean, at one point in time, I understood that they were telling you that your lungs were bad, but you found out that your lungs weren't bad, that it was your heart, right? And they had to go in and do open heart surgery on you.
Well,
So you're an amazing individual, Philip, I'll tell you, somebody who's been able to survive this. So I really appreciate you being here and taking the time. And we're going to take a break now and come back in a little bit. And don't know what we're going to talk about on the other side, but stick around and find out.
let's talk about.
So here we are back again, and one of the things we wanted to finish up on was talking to Ellen directly about how we would love you to have a town hall meeting where the people of the state from all around the state can come to you and talk to you about their issues, which may be addressing ACMM and how they're not responding to the will of the people. But understand, the will of the people initially was get patients their medicine. If you can look at the ACMM and OMMP and see anywhere in there where they're doing anything to get us our medicine, I would really be surprised, because there's nothing in either agency that is addressing getting us our herb. If somebody, like a friend of mine today, is telling me the guy who's growing for him, he went over to his house to talk to him about getting his medicine this month. The guy's not there, there's no forwarding address, and he has no phone number at this point in time. So this guy who's been waiting for this medicine all summer now has no medicine. He's had minimal medicine for the last couple months, just holding him over. Now he has nothing, and there's nowhere that we can go. And if they had the supply from taking the medicine from people who have the abundance that's getting them locked up and their medicine taken from them, we would take care of distributing that to people like him who have a problem at this point in time, or the lady here, Ivy, who didn't have medicine for 17 months. That's a crime. That lady paid for the right to have her medicine. And there's nothing that she can do about it. There's nowhere she can go for any help. That's the biggest crime that's going on, and that's the one that needs to be addressed by the Attorney General if she's representing the people as well as the state. So that's my little piece on that.
That's right. That's Ellen Rosenblum, the Attorney General of the state of Oregon. She was appointed to finish out the term of Kroger. Kroger, the one that couldn't make it through the run that he agreed to do, and then end up taking a lucrative position. That's a long story, but anyway. So November we can vote and get her in permanently, and she's head and shoulders above Kroger. So that's certainly a good point.
Or anybody else who might run.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yeah, I came across a great piece by John Stossel. The war on drugs, because prohibition worked so well. 40 years ago, the United States locked up fewer than 200 of every 100,000 Americans. Then President Nixon declared war on drugs. Now we lock up more of our own people than any other country, more even than the authoritarian regimes of Russia and China. A war on drugs, on people that is unworthy of a country that claims to be free. Unfortunately, this outrage won't be discussed in Tampa or Charlotte. The media, including Fox News, run frightening stories about Mexican cocaine cartels and marijuana gangs. Few of my colleagues stop to think this is a coincidence of the war, that discrimination would end the violence. There are no wine cartels or beer gangs. No one smuggles liquor. Liquor dealers are called businesses, not gangs, and they ship products instead of smuggling them. They settle disputes with lawyers rather than guns.
It's all semantics.
Everything can be abused. This is the sentence I really like. Everything can be abused, but that doesn't mean government can stop it. Government runs amok when it tries to protect us from ourselves. That's great. Yep. Drug-related crime occurs because the drugs are available only through the artificially expensive black market. Drug users steal not because drugs drive them to steal. Our government says heroin and nicotine are similarly addictive, but no one robs convenience stores to get Marlboros. That could change with confiscatory tobacco taxes. Are defenders of the drug war aware of the consequences? I don't think so. John McWhorter, a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, indicts the drug war for destroying black America. McWhorter, by the way, is black. McWhorter says sees prohibition as a saboteur of black families. Enduring prison time is seen as a badge of strength. It's regarded, with some justification, as an unjust punishment for selling people something they want. The ex-con is a hero rather than someone who went the wrong way. He enumerates the positive results from ending prohibition. No more gang wars over turf, no more kids shooting each other, men get jobs as they did in the old days, even in the worst ghettos because they have to. With cheaper and freely available drugs bring their own catastrophe, our discomfort with the idea of heroin available at drugstores is similar to that of a prohibitionist shrugging at the thought of bourbon at the corner store. We'll get over it. The media tells us that some drugs are so powerful that one hit or snort will hook the user forever. But the government's own statistics disprove that. The National Institutes of Health found that 36 million Americans have tried crack, but only 12% have used it in the previous year, and fewer than 6% have used it in the previous month. If crack is so addictive, how did 88% of the users quit? So, if drugs were legal, I suppose that at first more people would try them, but most would give them up. Eventually, drug use would diminish, as it has in Portugal, which decriminalized all drugs, and the Netherlands, which allows legal marijuana. More young men could find real jobs. Police could focus on real crime. So you get the idea here, but John Stossel brings it up. If we adults own our own bodies, we also get to control what we put in them. It's legitimate for government to protect me from reckless drivers and drunken airline pilots, but not protect me from myself. So that's well put and a good point.
Right, so going back to Ellen real quick, it'd be nice if we would have some town meetings around the state so that people could come and tell you exactly how they feel and what they're going through in this process, so you could get some, you think they're passionate at ACMM? You should see these people out there who are going through incredible changes because they have to go out and spend money that they shouldn't have to in order to get medicine. You know, it's just, it's terrible, it's an atrocity. And nobody's really addressing it, nor are they addressing the discrimination that we suffer when our medication is recommended, not prescribed. The doctors are so confused that they want to help us, but they don't know whether or not they're cleared to help us. If they work for the federal government, they're not. So the whole thing is that Ellen needs to make a decision and tell the United States federal government to get out of our business and quit blackmailing us so that we have to accept what they're doing or we won't get money from them to take care of the essentials in our state. Which shows us, leads right into the property owner seeks to shutter pot shop, San Francisco. A commercial property owner wants a federal judge to stop a branch of California's largest medical marijuana dispensary featured on the TV show Weed Wars from operating on its premises. Concourse Business Center asked the district court on Wednesday to issue an order barring Harborside Medical Center from growing, possessing, and selling marijuana at its property in San Jose. Harborside became famous nationwide when it was featured on the Discovery Channel show Weed Wars, according to lawsuits filed last month by the U.S. Attorney General's office. The dispensary claims to be the largest retailer of marijuana on the planet, serving more than 100,000 customers. Concourse says it rented its Ringwood Avenue location to Harborside in 2011 with the understanding that the property would be used as an office and a warehouse for a medical cannabis and herbal supplement dispensary. At the time, Concourse mistakenly believed that one could lawfully operate a medical cannabis dispensary in the state of California, the property owner claims in its motion in federal court. A week after learning about the forfeiture actions, Concourse says it gave Harborside a 30-day notice to stop growing and selling medical marijuana at the property. Since that time, Concourse has had ongoing discussions with Harborside in an attempt to agree on a date by which Harborside would vacate the property, Concourse claims. The parties have been unable to reach such an agreement, and Harborside has also failed and refused to cease cannabis sales at the property. When the 30 days were up, Concourse filed an unlawful detainer action against Harborside. You want to finish it?
Yeah, since learning that Harborside's activity at the property violates federal law, Concourse has committed to taking all responsible measures to cause Harborside to cease illegal activity at the property, the motion states. The property owner seeks an order barring the use of its property for the cultivation, possession with intent to distribute and or distribution of marijuana in any form. It claims an injunction is the most expedient and efficient means of preventing the property from being used to commit crimes, and says Congress has specifically authorized district courts to enjoin violations of the Controlled Substances Act. The recent crackdown on medical marijuana dispensaries in California had focused on dispensaries that were allegedly near schools, parks, and playgrounds. Harborside maintains that it has complied with all local and state laws and that it was not within 1,000 feet of school. Another rationale the Justice Department is using to target dispensaries, even though state law is set at 600 feet, according to the Americans for Safe Access website. More than 400 dispensaries have shuttered in California since the U.S. attorneys announced a crackdown against medical marijuana dispensaries in October 2011, mostly from the specter of federal criminal prosecution or asset forfeiture, according to the Medical Marijuana Advocacy Group site. A statement on Harborsight's website said the clinic has nothing to be ashamed of and vowed to fight the potential action with every legal means at our disposal. The concourse is represented by Paul Avila with McFarland, Sprinkles, and Thomas in San Jose. So anyway, that's the TV show Weed Wars, and now they're in a legal fight with their landlord.
But this is the same group, Harborside, that went to Oakland and told them, to the Oakland City Council, that they had money that they had in excess and would like to give it to them as a means of helping to keep their schools open and running really well. And they said, the city council said fine. And then all of a sudden the city council wanted millions of dollars that they said that they saw in the coffers of Harborside. And the next thing you knew, the battle was on and they want them closed down. Well, that's always the way with the government, you know. Whenever they see or smell money, they want it. You know, they want it, they want to be able to control it, and they'll do whatever they can to get it. But what I'm saying here about us in this process is, when are they going to start taking care of us as patients? We're not seen as patients. Understand, there's absolutely nothing out there. We can't get on TV, regular TV, or something to talk about the discrimination that is continuously going on by our cities, our counties, our states against us in this process. Same thing the government does. Oh, you know, we have industrial here in Oregon, but you know what? We can't grow it because the feds say we can't grow it. Excuse me, state law. State law represents people. People are what it's all about.
So November 6th, you got a chance to strike back.
Make a difference.
Register to vote by October 16th so that you can vote in the November 6th election. Very important. This is a legalization initiative at Measure 80. We lucked out and got the number of M80, Measure 80, M80. So you get a lot of big bang for your buck for your vote for November 6th.
So let's do that and make it legal, because that means people over 21 do not have to have a medical card.
That's right.
We're gone for today.
You bet. We're wrapping it up, and we'll catch you next week. And stay tuned and do all you can to end the prohibition. Doug and Reverend Will saying goodbye.
Peace out.